No, everybody has. Please unmute everybody and put everybody on video. All the panelists on video.
They will have to on it themselves.
Panelists, I think you have to switch the video on. He has enabled it. Have you allowed the other attendees to come in?
Yes, ma'am. Everybody can join. All the panelists can join.
Not panelists, the attendees.
Attendees are there.
Have they joined?
Yes, they have joined.
Joined meaning, can they hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we can start.
Okay.
We can start. Yeah. Are you able to hear me, ma'am? Are you able to hear me?
Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I think welcome to everybody. This is thank you for joining in very large numbers. I can see almost 100 people who have joined this, and really pleased to see this, because I think mobility is the most important issue on top of people's minds today. Without much ado, I give the mic on to Srinivas Alavali from WRI, fellow WRI. He will take us through the reason why we are all assembled here, and then we will have a very free-for-all panel discussion. We've got all the stakeholders there, so I think we should have a good discussion today. Over to you, Srini.
Thank you, ma'am. Ellargu namaskara. Thank you so much for joining us on a Friday evening at 6 p.m. Much appreciated. ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಹೊಸ ವಿಷಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಟು ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಚರ್ಚೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. We are very pleased to welcome Shri M.V. Rajiv Gowda, who is currently an ex-member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha, now the Vice Chairman of State Institute of Transformation, Karnataka, holding a cabinet rank, and also a member of the Brand Bengaluru Committee, which is looking after transforming Brand Bengaluru towards a more greener, cleaner, healthier Bengaluru. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
I'm happy to welcome B.S. Prahlad sir. Prahlad sir is the engineer-in-chief at BBMP. He's been working in the city for almost 30 years. He's an engineer in national highways, engineer in highways, as well as currently the engineer-in-chief for all of the BBMP. Welcome, Prahlad sir, to this meeting. I'm happy to welcome Kalpana ma'am. Kalpana Kataria ma'am is Executive Director at BMRCL, Namma Metro. Ma'am looks after Metro in Bengaluru. Welcome, ma'am. Do we have Shamant sir from DULT? Sir, if you could turn on your video. In the meanwhile, let me introduce Mr. Manas Das. Manas Das is a very senior IT professional, management leader from Intel Corporation with more than 25 years of experience in the industry. But more important in this context, he is the president of Outer Ring Road Companies Association, ORCA as we all call it. Welcome, Manas, to this gathering. Thank you for being here. We also have someone joining us from BMTC, the Deputy CTMO. Sir, Prabhakar sir, if you could turn on your video, please. We can't see you. We also have, I would like to welcome Jayan Desai. Jayan is a senior executive at VMware Corporation. Jayan also leads Sustainability Ecosystem Collaborative, more than 80 companies, MNCs in Bengaluru that are working towards a more sustainable Bengaluru by involving the corporate companies in making the city more sustainable. Shamant sir is going to represent the DULT, Department of Urban Land Transport. He should be joining us any minute. So today's discussion, I'm pleased to say that all the officials and departments that are responsible for making this city run, and quite literally, right, from walking and cycling, the BBMP, from Metro, the BMRCL, the BMTC, the lifeline of Bengaluru with almost 40 lakh daily trips BMTC runs in the city. BMTC is part of this discussion. We have DULT, a very unique organization that integrates different modes of transport and works for a better planned city for all of us, is part of this meeting. We have representation from Brand Bengaluru, which is a new initiative to create a more integrated transport. And finally, last but not least, the important stakeholder in this, the corporates, the ORCA and the sustainability ecosystem are also here. So we plan to have a discussion around what is personal to public before we get started. Sharad, can I have the screen sharing, please? Can I share my screen? And I'd also like the admins to bring BMTC and DULT on camera, please.
I think everybody is on camera. All the panelists have to just switch on their video.
Okay.
It has been enabled.
So I'd like to introduce Personal to Public. What is Personal to Public? It is a public campaign initiated originally at WRI India and BPAC, but later joined by so many other groups, civil society groups, research organizations, all of that. What is Personal to Public? It's a pledge to use public transport 2 days a week. We believe that if we want to address the traffic congestion in Bengaluru and reduce the pollution, more people should be using public transport. And Personal to Public is a campaign to get more and more citizens to use public transport at least 2 days a week. We need a behavioral change, and that's what the campaign is trying to do. These are all the organizations involved in this campaign. You can see from citizen groups to Slum Dweller Foundation to Bangalore Apartments Federation, Nama Bengaluru Foundation, Citizens Movement. Auto unions are a big part of this movement. We're trying to bring together all the different people that work on different aspects of mobility in our city and work together. That is the idea behind Personal to Public. The biggest problem in our city today is the amount of travel that happens in public transport is not as much as it should be. According to the 2015 CMP data, we have only 48% of trips, and we target to get 65% of the trips going on public transport. If this happens, we will get a much better city. Congestion will not disappear overnight, but we'll have much bigger relief. As you can see in a city like Mumbai, for example, much bigger than Bengaluru, but because a large number of people travel in public transport, the traffic congestion is relatively manageable. Bengaluru will also get there as we increase the amount of public transport. Today, we are already BMTC and BMRCL are public transport services with 46 lakh daily ridership numbers that they have. Thankfully, the Congress manifesto also talks a lot about increasing the modal share. Professor Rajiv Gowda will tell us more about how this made it into the manifesto and what they are planning to do in this regard. The Shakti scheme has revitalized the BMTC, as we all know, and the government is also strengthening BMTC by adding more buses to it. So all of these things are interesting developments in our city, which makes the year 2023 a very important year. And that's why this event is called the Transformation in Mobility in Bengaluru. First time in the history of metro, it is going to a place where lakhs of people work. If you see this map on the right side, you see the purple line is going to Whitefield and the yellow line is going to Electronic City. Both of these things are expected to be operationalized this year. In fact, the Whitefield metro will be operational anytime now as the safety test has passed. And the yellow line to Electronic City is expected to be operational in December or January. That's what we are expecting to see. And even better days are coming. In 2026 and 28, we are going to get more and more of metro coverage as well as K-Ride suburban train. By the year 2028, Bengaluru will have a world-class public transport. Then we should be able to see more people depend on public transport for the daily commute. This is the context under which we are running this campaign called Personal to Public, because if you want to ask people to use public transport, first you have to make it available. That is the principle here. And we are fairly confident that public transport is becoming available this year. And therefore, it provides a great opportunity for citizens to use public transport. More buses are coming this year, and therefore we call 2023 a milestone year. But what are the challenges? The challenges is that the number of vehicles are rising in a drastic fashion, right? Today, we have almost 1.1 crore vehicles in our private vehicles in our city, whereas the number of buses is more or less remained stagnant at 6,667. And the metro network is now going from 68 kilometers to around 200 kilometers in the next 3 to 5 years. So that way, the availability of public transport is going to increase. The second big challenge is about the first and last mile access. You can provide all the metro and bus, but if you don't support the first and last mile, how are people going to access it? How are people going to go to the bus stop or the metro station from their homes and from there to their workplace? The last mile in the morning becomes the first mile in the evening. So we need to improve both these cases scenarios. And there are many modes in which people travel. They walk, they cycle, they use auto, they use bus to get to the main primary mode of transport. So a very big part of this campaign is also how can we improve the first and last mile access in Bengaluru. Adu begenu navelleru sersi kelsa ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. So personal to public, we formed a steering committee with all the different representatives you can see here. It has corporates, it has autos, it has active mobility and civil society, and the ISC Sustainable Transport Lab, where Dr. Ashish Verma is also part of it. Together, we've been working on various activities, running studies and conducting interviews and doing freeze mobs. And we have been very successful in mobilizing a lot of public interest and opinion of people in this case. So as a result of our studies, we are able to understand that there is a lot of interest in using public transport in Bengaluru. People are ready, but is the system ready? That's the second question. So that's the focus of today's conversation. We'll hear more about it from all the officials and representatives of the government here today. And the personal to public campaign itself is a citizen movement. As I told you, we built a coalition of all the people. We try to understand the gaps. We try to understand the issues that the vehicle users have and why they don't take public transport. What is stopping them from using bus and metro? That has given us a lot of understanding and given us very clear action plans. What can BMTC do? What can BMRCL do? What can BBMP do? What can police do? Traffic police do? We are able to understand these things better, and that's kind of where we are today, so that we can urge the citizens of Bengaluru to take the pledge to use the public transport. This, as it happens, there are so many stakeholders involved in it. And one of the reasons why this campaign is very important is because, at least in my view, it's the first time we are able to bring all the stakeholders to the table and have regular meetings. Professor Rajiv Gowda has been spearheading a lot of discussions between these stakeholders. He will tell us more about that when he speaks. But these are all the people that are involved in this campaign and are working on it. A lot of positive work has happened, and there is also a big opportunity we see with Outer Ring Road. As we all saw the news last week about so much of traffic congestion in Outer Ring Road, we believe that while the metro and Outer Ring Road is going to take some more time to become real, in the meanwhile, how can we provide relief to the lakhs and lakhs of people that work in Outer Ring Road by integrating the bus and metro? You'll hear today more about that from the officials of BMRCL as well as BMTC and BBMP, because they have a big role to play in terms of streamlining the movement of pedestrians, crossing of the junctions and bus stops. All of that comes under BBMP. The traffic police are working very hard to help move the bus in a better way. This is the current situation Outer Ring Road, and there is a very big excitement around providing last mile access using bus and a metro combination on the Outer Ring Road. And with that, I will stop my introductory remarks here. I hope I provided a context for this conversation today. Back to you, Dev.
Yeah. Thank you, Srini. I think that was wonderful, wonderful context. As we all know that, mobility is one of repeated surveys have shown that mobility is one of the biggest issues that the city faces today. It is because the city has grown much too fast, which is good in a way, but it comes with its own set of problems. And therefore, we have seen continuously, challenges. The infrastructure is always trying to keep pace with the growth. The good problem is that there is good economic activity, but I think the infrastructure needs to keep pace. As Srini mentioned, it is going to be quite a historic moment. By March of next year, we'll be close to 100 kilometers, about 96 kilometers of metro, which I think will be significant. And what is going to be significant in the next 15 days is that you can be in Nagasandra, you can be the entire purple line of 46 kilometers is going to be operational from Chelagatta right up to end of Whitefield. And then you have the other end, both Nagasandra and Silk Institute people can straight away connect up to Whitefield. So I think this is very, very historic. We have not had this opportunity. And therefore, we are very happy that Professor Rajiv Gowda is here. He has the mandate from the Deputy Chief Minister to do all that it takes. And we all know that there is a demand issue and there is a supply issue. And in between, there is a convenience issue. So the demand, the supply issue in terms of major infrastructure is being made available in the next 10 days. It will be open. And the supply is what we are working on, and the convenience is what we are working on. And I would like Professor Rajiv Gowda to give a summary of all the work that we have done over the last 2-3 months to ensure that we are very cognizant of the issues faced by citizens. Professor Rajiv Gowda has personally taken the metro and traveled and walked, etc. He's going to do another walk tomorrow. So all those who are willing to join in, please join in. He has taken this very, very seriously. He wants to understand the pain of the citizens. So over to you, Rajiv.
Thank you, Revati, and thank you for that matter to BPAC and WRI India and the ARCA and all the groups who come together to take this Personal2public initiative forward. I have been working in the mobility space for a long time myself. I conducted a workshop for MLAs and ministers in 2008 about suburban rail and how it could benefit us. And I've been pushing with various railway ministers, even when I was an MP. But you can see how many decades it takes for something to, to achieve fruition. So I hope we will see, progress on that and an integration of that with the other modes, bus and metro and everything else that we are championing right here today. Well, Bengaluru's strength is citizens and their movements and their achievements. And our job in government is to facilitate, help people get from one place to another. The largest number of trips are taken for work and for study. And based on that, one should be in a position to really intervene like what we're planning to do in the next week. So this is a historic opportunity because really one huge area of Bengaluru where lakhs and lakhs of people essentially commute using private transport to Whitefield or to the Outer Ring Road, we have an opportunity to shift them from private vehicles to the metro. And to make this happen, it's particularly important for us to also make sure that that convenience factor comes in, which means attending to first and last mile connectivity. I'm happy to say that first, the government is, the Deputy Chief Minister, Shri D.K. Shivakumar, who's in charge of Bengaluru, he was very happy to say, go ahead and make this happen. And when the launch happens, he has assured me that he will join us, all of us, in a trip on the metro and possibly a bus from there to an IT park, etc. Now, first, I want to mention that while we are focusing on car users and IT parks, this does not mean that the government is not concerned about everybody else, every other class of people who use public transport. Here, this initiative is particularly important because it has the opportunity to shift people from private vehicles on a very large scale. And this is, could be an amazing opportunity to, unclog the Outer Ring Road, the roads to Whitefield, and to all roads across the city for that matter, because people who currently spend up to 2-3 hours in getting from one corner of the city to their workplace and back, we would be getting rid of this particular challenge for them. It would still be significant. It would take some time if you're coming from different corners of the city, but nonetheless, it is an opportunity to come in much better comfort. And I'm happy to say that all the agencies that we've been working with over the last couple of months to make this big bang event happen, to get people to shift from private to public, that everyone has been extremely cooperative. Starting with Anjum Parvez and Kalpana Kataria and their team from Metro, to Srimati Satyavati and her team in BMTC, Mr. Anuchet and his team in the traffic police, Srimati Deepa Cholan and her Shamant and others from DULT, and Shri Prahalad and the team from BBMP. All of them have been very cooperative, and basically what we've done in these meetings is we've identified a number of pain points, and we've been trying to figure out how we can resolve them. So, for example, last week BMTC and the traffic police took recce of certain places where interventions could make life much easier for buses, for bus movement. Not all of the proposed interventions were acceptable, but nonetheless, the fact that some will be implemented will smoothen the movement of buses. BMTC itself has agreed to run buses from Keyarpura metro station to Silk Board, at the very the legendary Silk Board at the other end, at 5-minute intervals during peak hour. And so this sort of thing, has the, it just adds to predictability. The metro will be taking people also with possibly less than 5-minute intervals and during peak hours, and then there will be a bus waiting at the other end to take them, to workplaces. Anyway, so I'm not going to steal the thunder of all the other agencies and what they want to say that they're bringing to the table. But I must say that, in our Congress manifesto, we've envisaged making mobility of priority, because the very fact of the matter is that there's a huge amount of productivity loss in terms of people's time spent in commuting, the hassle and stress that also affects productivity. If we are able to remove those, we will be in a position to, frankly, make a huge difference to our GDP out of Bengaluru city. Now, along with this, of course, we also need to work on making sure that there is better mobility in terms of non-motorized traffic, that is pedestrian footpaths and other such facilities. That is another work in progress. And before I sign off my initial remarks, I want to point out that I actually do take the metro on I can't say regular basis, but often enough, so that I'm in a position to know the challenges of being able to get in and out, etc., etc. So, okay, thank you. And basically, let me hand it over. And do you want me to say anything else in the initial remarks, or shall we keep that for a little later?
I think we'll keep this for a little later. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That is a great introduction, and that gives us a view of how seized the government is on the challenges of mobility. I will now move next to Dalt, Shaman from Dalt. My question to you is, a lot of times we find station accessibility a big problem, the design of junctions a big problem. There are so many design elements. It is not just about providing infrastructure and letting it be there. It is also how we are putting ourselves in the shoes of the citizen and the traveler to see how convenient it is, how accessible it is, what are the kinds of signages, etc. So can you please tell us what is the design work that you have done, and what are all the aspects, whether it be parking, whether it be stations, whether it be the station design, junction design, or signages, bays, etc. If you can just talk a little bit about that, both for Whitefield and ORR, which is the focus of today's discussion. For the benefit of everybody, we are looking at ORR and Whitefield, which are the most prominent locations which are covered by Metro, which has huge working IT population that is using private vehicles, as one of the areas where we can hopefully have some wins in terms of public mobility. Because if each person with a four-wheeler or two-wheeler can get moved on to public transport, it would be a huge benefit. So, Shaman, can you please talk about your design interventions?
Sure. Thank you, Revati ma'am. Today, unfortunately, Deepa ma'am was busy, our commissioner, and she could not join. So I will just fill in for her today. As I think all of us agree in this forum, the only solution for Bangalore or Bangalore's mobility is to have a very wide network of public transport system that is convenient for people to use. So I think that's a no-brainer solution for Bangalore to thrive. And the question before us is, it's a democratic world and we can't force anybody to really use any particular mode. So it's a choice that we need to create. But the choice of public transport has to be so convenient, so attractive to use that people should feel to leave their cars, their two-wheelers, and take the public transport. And that's the problem in front of us. How do we do it? Right. So some efforts that have happened is we have been working on what is called as station accessibility plans. As you rightly mentioned, just building infrastructure would not be sufficient for people to start using. These infrastructure have to be accessible, very convenient for people. And that's what we call as a station accessibility plans, which unfortunately should happen along with the metro planning, but at least as an afterthought, we have been trying to take it up in few stations. We had a request from the Whitefield Rising community to start looking at the 8 metro stations along the Whitefield line, which was all the way from the Kadugodi till the Kundanhalli, where we have basically looked at what infrastructure has been planned for various users who access, or various modes through which people access the metro station, whether it is through auto rickshaw, whether it is for the taxis, whether it's by bicycles, by walk, or through the city bus service. And we have seen what is the most convenient way that people would actually get dropped off, and they're then into the station platforms. And while doing that, how do we place all these elements in the station so that there is a greater nudge towards more sustainable transportation modes like bus services, etc., rather than people coming by their private vehicles and getting dropped off. So with all these things in mind, we have worked out quite a detailed plans for these 8 stations. And these plans basically looks at the ground layout and see where we can actually integrate these drop-off bays, how we can fit in a cycle track in the service road that is behind the metro stations. And very much keeping in mind, we don't want to get into another civil engineering work package. So with as minimal interventions, how do we sort of build in these elements is something that we have prepared, and we have recently shared with BMRCL, and we'll be very closely working with them to get these implemented. And that is for the 8 stations. We also have ADB, a technical assistance from Asian Development Bank, through which we have actually taken up all the 30 stations of the metro phase 2A, 2B, that is from Silk Board, passing through Kerpuram to Hebbal and to the airport. So for all these 30 stations, we have a consultant who has been looking at the stations, looking at what are the quick win solutions, what we call as the multimodal integration solutions, and as well looking at a larger TOD plans. Because once the metro comes, these areas are going to transform, right? And the whole goal of TOD is how do we get as many people to live around the metro station and work around the metro station so that the need for private transport basically reduces. And that's going to be the game changer in the coming next 30, 40 years. So what sort of regulations needs to be changed in urban planning that this would be facilitated, this kind of developments? And these entire areas will be very walkable. In the morning when I was talking to you, also mentioned, when we go to other countries, we see areas around the metro station is so wonderfully designed. It's so the environment is so inviting to walk and bicycle, right? So And that's why we see that internationally, the average distance people would walk to any of the transit stations is somewhere around 1.2. Because, sometimes in India, we keep talking 500 meters is a walkable distance. But if you look at the international standards, they talk about 1.2 kilometers. Because, that's the kind of environment they build. And that change needs to happen. And that's what is, the plans are under preparation through the ADB technical assistance. And hopefully, so we are basically built into two packages. The MMI will be the short term, what we can do immediately with the existing infrastructure with minor improvements. Sometimes the plot sizes are very big. So can we create some small walking links so that, people can easily access, even if they can't bring in their two-wheelers, but probably they have a shorter walking distance. So those kind of things are being looked at. In addition, while we talk about public transportation, we can't ignore the fact that BMTC is currently the major, carrier of people. As Srinivas mentioned, out of that 46 or 48% of trips that are happening by public transport, except for some 2-3%, it's all happening by buses. So unless we have a proposition to improve the mobility or the seamless mobility of buses, a large chunk of our mobility solutions will not be taken care of. So in that perspective, we very strongly feel that the bus priority lanes are the answer to this. So there's no point in having, right now we have 6,600 buses. Even if I make it into 10,000 buses, where will these 10,000 buses go on Bangalore roads? Right? They'll all be stuck in jam. So unless we have these bus lanes happening in quite a good extent, probably I would say every arterial road which has at least 3 lanes should have a bus lane. 1 lane should be dedicated for bus, and there's a justification for that. While we see many people say, there's only 1 bus in every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes. The rest of the 5 minutes, there may be no vehicles passing through, but it's fine because every bus is carrying about 70 people, right? So if we have 20 buses going, we have 1,400 people going, and 1,400 cars going in the same lane would mean a congested lane. It's a jam. It's a lane which is in traffic jam. So that's the mentality we have to change. So, and I think Srinivas was very much involved. Prahlad sir was the guy who had implemented it. So we had a bus lane actually implemented in ORR between Silk Board and KR-Puram. And in fact, at that point, the thought was when the metro construction is happening, that is going to be the that is going to be the game changer, which will actually help people move seamlessly. And we also saw what happened last Friday, 27th. The entire ORR area was stuck, and people had no other means to travel in that area. So imagine in that condition, we had a bus lane which was free, and buses moving at whatever 40 kilometers per hour, 50 kilometers per hour speed. Many people could have just left their cars in their office and popped into a bus, and they would be home in half an hour, right? So unfortunately, we don't, we missed that opportunity. But we have, we have had these meetings, interdepartmental meetings, and all of them have agreed that we'll bring back the bus lane once the metro construction is over, and hopefully at least that will be a relief. And there's also a larger project which is being steered by Prahlad sir. It's called the high density corridors, where we are also targeting to scale up these bus priority lanes, hopefully at least in few of the roads where there is adequate capacity and there is a high bus movement. So right now, at least we are looking at, if I combine of both sides, we're looking at somewhere around 150 kilometers of bus lane in Bangalore. And my only hope is that, we should make it happen. Otherwise, I don't see much hopes for Bangalore's traffic rules. So another thing is, while we do, create this kind of infrastructure which attracts people, disincentive mechanism that is required, some push is required initially, because people have got used to that convenience system of cars. So one of the simplest mechanism is the priced parking system. Government, as last year in I think probably in 2021, they had already approved a policy which states that parking cannot be free in Bengaluru, and they directed DULT to prepare a citywide parking plan. So that plan we have prepared and we have shared with BBMP, and I think BBMP is going to take that up for implementation. So that would also, once people know that every time they park, for every hour they'll have to pay, hopefully, that will dissuade, at least to some extent, for people to, at least take alternate modes for their travel wherever it's possible. So I think these measures are very important, and we hope a lot of things are in place, a lot of plans are in place. It's only a matter of having these implemented in a coordinated manner is what I feel is what Bangalore needs. And we hope the brand Bangalore is also quite a good platform, I think, where all these, we hope to see these things getting implemented. And thank you so much. That's all I had to share from the DULT side.
Thank you. And just to mention that DULT has also worked on junction improvements along the ORR. So
yes,
that is also
as a part of the plans that we are designs that we are preparing for BBMP, the bus lane designs, and the HDC designs, all the entire junctions between Kerpuram to Silk Board, we have prepared a very scientific designs for them. And we hope that, once the metro construction is at certain stage, we'll be able to work with BBMP and take this forward.
Thank you.
Shaman, and also one more thing, Revati, I just forgot to mention about these feeder services. We, as a pilot, we implemented the feeder service with the help of BMTC in HSR layout. It's about 8-kilometer loop. People who live in HSR, they know there was hardly any bus service there. And there was also apprehension, people living there may not use a bus at all. So now we have introduced a loop service since August, 1st of August. It's an 8-kilometer loop, and there's both clockwise and anti-clockwise service. And we have been getting very good feedback from the community there. A lot of people who had never used it, tried it, and they feel it's a very convenient service. And we are seeing, at least during peak hours, there's quite a good patronage for that. And all this has been possible with very, very extensive support from the community. The request came from the community, and also the community did a very extensive campaign. Information, and we see that with that campaigning building up, the usage has also consistently been increasing. And now after that, we had requests from the Whitefield Rising, so we have started some service, couple of routes there. We are yet to scale up the frequency, and similarly, we are getting a lot of interest. We got an interest from the Bengaluru. They wanted some service there, so we are looking at those. We have also surveyed from the Malleshwaram side, on the west side of the town. So, as and when, community is becoming more active, they're wanting these kind of services, I think. And so it's a good sign, that people want this kind of service, and hopefully, we'll be able to scale up along with BMTC.
Thank you, Shaman. I will now move on to Madam Kalpana Kataria, Executive Director of BMRCL. Ma'am, thank you very much for joining us. I think, as I said, the big supply side, which takes years and years, is now ready. And we have a very significant, 46 kilometers on one side, and then 16 plus 24 on the Nagasandra Whitefield side, and another one from Silk Institute, another 16 kilometers from 24 kilometers. So about 40 odd kilometers from both the green side, both sides of the green side, and the entire purple line of 46 kilometers, huge coverage to places where lots of people, lakhs and lakhs of people work. So what is the kind of integration? The demand is, the supply you have already created, but the convenience part is what will actually spur the demand. So I want you to talk a little bit about what are the kinds of integrative services you're thinking of so that people will find it convenient to use these services from anywhere.
Thank you, Revati ma'am, for inviting me to this panel discussion. I'm happy to announce, first of all, that today the CMRS inspection is done for Kingeri to Chalghatta section also. And soon we should be having our metro operations from Chalghatta to Whitefield. So I think that is one great achievement.
Now a matter of days then.
Yeah, it's a matter of few days that our line will be fully operational. And I do understand simply creating metro infrastructure is not enough. We need to work on first mile and last mile, and we need to bring people to metro, and we need to take people to their place of work or place of residence. So for that, we are closely working with BMTC. So they are working with us to provide the feeder services, and I think they will also be talking about it, that they have promised to provide feeder services at 5-minute interval in the peak hours and 7 to 8 minutes in the off-peak hours. And they are planning to start some 16 feeder schedules in this sector from Kyarpuram to connect people to Whitefield as well as ORR. So we are working with them, and I'm sure as soon as our metro services operations start on this sector, like between Baipanhalli to Kyarpuram as well as Kingeri to Chalghatta, that time we'll be able to display on the static boards to begin with about the frequency of buses available for the commuters. And later we'll be shifting to the dynamic boards wherein the information will be displayed about the feeder services. And we also have provided bus bays as well as auto bays below our metro stations at everywhere, so that people can easily get down from metro and take a bus, a feeder bus or a auto to go to their respective places. And we have also provided parking for the bicycles. Like at all the parking stations available, we are providing parking for cycles as well, where we charge a nominal amount of 1 rupee per hour and 10 rupees for the whole day. And other than that, we are working with the ADB, Asian Development Bank, which is providing us technical assistance, and we are working with them for designing TOD and multimodal integration for all the stations of phase 2A and 2B, which is from Central Silk Board to airport. So that also detailed working is going on, detailed discussions, detailed plans, everything is under preparation.
Right. So I think it is going to be quite historic. I think metro ridership. What is your estimate of metro ridership when we open up Chalghatta and we announce all these improvements that we are making? What is your estimation? Because people now from Green Line anywhere, as I said, from Silk Institute, from Nagasandra can get to Whitefield in a very short span of time without having to get stuck in traffic for hours and hours. So what is your estimate of increased ridership from today?
Right now it is 6.3 lakhs as on date. So hopefully we should immediately shoot up to 7 lakhs. And let's hope for
You're being very conservative.
I'm being conservative because I don't want to over-promise and under-perform. I believe in under-promising and over-performing.
Yeah. Hopefully
we'll be there by 10. We'll reach the number of 10 lakhs soon.
Yeah. I hope we reach the number of 10 to 12 lakhs, and that's really the goal. And we'll come to that. I think there are many other groups, corporate groups that have been working on it. And,
I forgot to mention one more thing, that we are working with the corporates. We are offering them, then they can buy bulk tickets for their employees. For that, we are working on a platform through which they can buy bulk tickets for their employees so that they can use metro for their daily commute to office.
That is fantastic, because that will really encourage a lot of people who are corporates that are providing door-to-door car service to take away those cars and just provide them the metro passes. So that will be absolutely fantastic. Let us now move on to a very key part of this whole integration exercise, the BMTC. And do we have hello?
Yeah, Prabhakar sir is there. Prabhakar sir.
Is Mr. Prabhakar there?
Yes, it's on video. It's on video.
Okay, okay. Mr. Prabhakar, I know during all our calls, you have been very vocal and you have been trying very, very hard to provide the level of service that people are demanding, because we are talking about people who are using their four-wheelers and two-wheelers going from door to door, from their home to office. If you have to provide them seamless support, then you need very seamless connectivity. So please tell us all the preparations that we are doing, both for the ORR and Whitefield areas, so that people can have seamless commute.
Yes, madam. BMTC operating about 5,600 schedules on daily basis. We are covering about 11 lakh kilometers on daily basis. And we are having around 58,000 trips in 1,800 different routes in Bangalore city. We are covering from Bangalore BBMP jurisdiction up to 25 kilometers, beyond 25 kilometers. That means from city center around 50 kilometers we are catering. And with respect to metro feeder, currently we are operating about 103 metro feeder services connecting different metro stations. But here the problem with these metro feeder routes is the frequency is less. That means we are covering at 15 minutes or 30 minutes frequency. For these ORR, that is from Kerpuram to Central Silk Road, we are adding about 16 services, 16 Volvo services. The frequency during peak hour is around 5 minutes and off peak is around 8 to 10 minutes. And also we are proposing for, we are adding one more route, that is Kerpuram metro station to Kerpuram metro station. It is a ring route wherein it will cover Marathalli, Kundalalli Junction and Sitarampalya metro. Totally, there also we are adding 15 buses. These are of non-AC category. And these buses will operate at a frequency of 5 minutes, especially with respect to ORR. Apart from regular, what we are adding 15 buses, we have got 315 exclusive schedules, including AC and non-AC, and performing 2,000 single trips. That means to say one side we have got 1,000 trips and another side we are covering 1,000 trips. Apart from these exclusive metro feeders, this is our plan.
Thank you. Also, can you talk about how will this information become available, and talk a little bit about the BMTC app, and how can we integrate that with the metro so that it's all seamless, and what is your plan for that?
Initially, we will provide static information to metro, and also we have launched an app, Namma BMTC. In that app, anybody can track all our services. About 5,000 out of 5,600 schedules, almost 95% of the schedules are being tracked now. We have on a Nirbhaya project about 35 crores invested on these things, and we are getting real-time information on these routes shortly.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Prabhakar. This is going to be hopefully a game changer. We must ensure that we do keep up to these schedules, the 5 minute, and hopefully it will go to 3 minutes and 2 minutes. And that is where you will see more and more people moving on to BMTC bus. You will also see better capacity utilization, and so will the metro. Everybody will gain, and we will reduce carbon emissions. Let's move on to Mr. Prahlad from BBMP. Sir, I think one of the biggest issues people have been saying when we talk about convenience, now we have spoken about one aspect, which is metro, which is delivering its service. Then integratively, BMTC is delivering its service. both of them connecting, but still people have to traverse. After they get down, they should not land up into holes and manholes and broken footpaths. And there should be good lighting, because safety is a very, very important consideration. If you can talk a little bit about the activities that you are undertaking, especially in the ORR and Whitefield area, so that we can do this as a pilot exercise and then roll it across the city as a model. Mr. Prahlad, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Good evening all. Good evening, ma'am. From BBMP, with a sense of purpose and deep commitment, BBMP understands the success of public transportation hinges on the seamless last mile connectivity. This brings us to the role of pedestrians, and pedestrians usually move on the pedestrian pathways, that is the footpath. Ma'am, when we did the mobility ban for brand Bengaluru, one of the biggest questions and biggest suggestions what we received was about the footpaths and about the broken footpaths. Ma'am, to be particular, particular of the outer ring road from Lowry Junction to Silkboard Junction, in 2017-18, we had created a bus priority lane and a seamless footpath on the service roads. Unfortunately or fortunately, the metro construction immediately set in, and that's why the bus priority lane has to go, and in the way the service roads were used for providing infrastructural facilities, especially providing the cable network for the metro. BESCOM also did its cabling work, and 110 villages, water supply to 110 villages also was done during that time. So now we feel that the service roads are little bit spoiled at certain points, and we have identified such junctions and such places. And BBMP is committed to provide good footpaths, and moreover, wherever the footpaths are wide and things, there is encroachments like having petty shops and other things, that also we are removing from BBMP on a regular basis. So, madam, for this, regarding the connectivity from public to private to public, we have already implemented schemes like the tender sure scheme in the 2011. In 2013-14, we brought in the white topping project, wherein we also provided good footpaths. About 160 kilometers of white topping was done, and very wide good footpaths were done. In 2018-19, we brought in the smart city project, Bangalore smart city project, under which we created about 30 to 35 kilometers of good footpaths with the cycle lanes. In 2021, we also brought in the non-motorized transport system with the help of DUNT. And in HSR layout also, we have provided very good footpaths which have attracted public's appreciations. Ma'am, this 2022-23, we have 23-24, we have launched the high density corridors. Under this project, we are doing 83 kilometers of footpath and also relaying of roads. In this, again, the Lowry Junction to Silkboard Junction is also taken. And not only the outer ring road, but also we have identified 22 other roads which are working as parallel roads for the outer ring road to bring down the traffic congestion problem. Almost 80 to 85% of the connectivity roads are completed, and this is catering to the needs. At present, not only the outer ring road, but also the roads which are developed by BBMP in 2022-23 is acting as the other arterial and subarterial roads for the Whitefield and outer ring road areas. With that, we have other plans of improving the footpaths, and we have also launched Suraksha 75, wherein we have been developing 75 junctions where with small interventions, we are able to move the traffic, like providing free left turns. Wherever there are spaces, we are providing free left turns and augmenting to the traffic congestion. In Bangalore is rated to be the second congested areas. We are approximately have 1.9 crore vehicular populations. This is a big growth in the vehicle population, but the area of the roads are the same. Now with the connectivity of metro and increasing the efficiency of the BMTC, we also hope that our roads are also less burdened. Regarding the last mile connectivity, our commitment must go beyond the construction of mere footpath, but also have a very good user-friendly footpaths. This is all from BBMP.
Thank you. I hope you are also working on lighting, because we had found in a study that women are very, very concerned about, they would love to use public transport, but they are very, very concerned about very poor lighting conditions, both in bus stops and in the areas where they have to walk. So that is a very, very important consideration, sir.
Yes, ma'am. This regarding the street lighting facilities, we are getting into a PPP model, wherein we are calling we are upgrading the system of street lighting under the PPP model. So that will be launched in a short time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Prahlad. And before I go on to the next speaker, I would like to inform everybody, thank you everybody for joining in large numbers. Obviously, this is a topic of very great interest to the city. Please log in your questions and in the chat box, and we will try to answer as many as possible. If there are any others left over, please write into us, and we are happy to get a response if we are not able to take on all the questions. If you have any suggestions, that too, you may please put it into the chat box. We'll try to consider all of them. With this, I think we will move on to Manas, who is the president of ORCA. Manas, I think a lot of joint work has been done. So far, we were talking about the demand, the supply side and the convenience, and the people responsible for providing the supply and the convenience. Now we are going to the demand side. We can provide all of this, but people have to start using it. People have to have faith in it. So what is it that the ORCA team is doing along with various corporates to make this a reality and something that people will be proud of and start using?
Yeah, so before I start addressing the demand side and how we are corralling it, just look into the mind of the average, person who's traveling to work. There are just 2 or 3 factors that are there, right? Convenience, availability, and safety, right? At a very broad and a high level, right? And that's the one which drives the adoption of these the various modes of transport that are there. We represent around 500 companies, 950,000 employees, and growing almost every day at a very fast rate. So if I were to split open the mind of the average consumer, these things are the ones which are working on their minds, is what we found out. So when we go out and we reach out and we look at this, and it's very heartening to see this cross team effort, coordinated effort that was absolutely the crying need for a long period of time, and that's kind of fructifying. So I think the average confidence is improving, and as we reach out, the various reach out processes that were created, we are now going and analyzing the demand and making it more threadbare. Okay, if a tech park says there will be 5,000 people who are going to go from there and use public transport, what does it mean, right? And what will the routes be, and things like that. Feed it back to BMTC, which has been very, very accepting in terms of how we can modify those, get those reach areas kind of identified, and get the people that convenience. Similarly, we are in a lot of ways trying to some way emphasize the confidence in the fact that yes, the first mile, last mile connectivity are issues. There are no 2 ways about it, which can't be solved overnight. But there are efforts which are going on towards that. So with some minimal effort that people can take, for example, the first line, can they kind of move into the public transport to get to their offices? So there has been a heartening kind of a response, and the numbers are pretty significant now. When we kind of parse it out, as exactly as we speak, that effort is going on where exactly, from what, which kind of transport, and where should they be, picked up, where should they be dropped, and things like that. The fundamental piece, from what I understand from BMTC as well as BBMP, is taken care of, and especially the continuous feeder transports, which will move from the Silk Board to Kiarpuram and beyond, and that will kind of stop at every tech park. So that's one part of the issue. We've solved. The other part is the catered kind of the specific buses that are provided to specific companies. So that's the offering which BMTC has. So that's also kind of gained a lot of acceptance with a lot of companies trying to do that. Net, I think confidence is improving. Numbers are showing an uptick. People are hoping that the first and the last mile pieces will get solved, and some of them, as you rightly pointed out, are the walkability, the bus shelters, and the safety in the bus shelter, the lighting and things like that, which Mr. Prahlad spoke about. Those need to kind of, sometimes seeing is believing. So while the beginning will be made, if these things are not hastened, after some point in time, there will be potential drawback to that. But we hope that all the initial demand signals that are showing will fructify over the longer period of time, and a lot of these will kind of get knit together to form a holistic solution to the number of people that we are catering to in Outer Ring Road. And let me emphasize and re-emphasize that these numbers are just growing.
Okay, thank you very much. Professor Rajiv Gowda has to drop off. Would you like to say any few last closing words? No, I think he just had to drop off. Okay, we'll go next to Jayan Desai, founder of the Sustainability Forum. Jayan has been instrumental in evangelizing a lot of what we are doing along with the corporates, working actively on the demand side. And we have been trying to say that we must look at public first as a mode of transport. If we can do public first under the personal to public, it will also be a very big ESG goal, I'm sure, for a lot of companies. I want to hear from Jayan, what are the kinds of incentives, what are the kinds of steps you see people taking, assuming all the things on the supply side and the convenience side do come to fruition, and I have no doubt that they will. There will be some hiccups, but it is going to happen. You heard from all the people who are working deeply on it. Jayan, can you please tell us what you're hearing from all the various companies, and will they take this as a serious ESG goal?
Fair enough. And first of all, let me start by addressing the sentiments on the call, right? And I'll come to the question directly. Out of the 94 questions, and I request everybody who has joined in, first of all, sincere thanks for being with us, hearing everybody. You are seeing a lot of plans, a lot of discussions, difficult to assimilate, but I'm going to leave you with a call to action in a few minutes. Believe me, 30% of the suggestions are great suggestions. And we will make sure the core team and the steering committee you hear today will incorporate this in the action plan, and we owe you that. The rest 70% is like the rest of India. And let me be very blunt. We have become cynics. We have become so critical that we don't see even the good stuff happening. My request to all, I'm going to leave you with an email ID and a website. Please join the core team. The best way to make a change is to be part of it. And while Mahatma Gandhi said this 60 years back, it still applies to everything related to civic infrastructure, civic improvement, and the way we conduct ourselves as citizens. So my humble request, instead of being a critic, be part of the solution. Coming to the sustainability angle, me and Manas, we lead this effort for the industry. We started about 9 months back. Surprisingly, we had 90 plus companies which got together on 3 focus areas. technology for solutions, which is where this entire P2P project fits beautifully. The second is employee and citizen philanthropy. Ultimately, we do this for the citizens, whether corporate or civilian, does not matter. 12 hours of the day we are corporate, rest 12 hours we are civilians. And everything we are doing as part of this project applies to everyone, right? And the third piece was policy advocacy. And you are seeing one of the first and the most brilliant case study in India, where 9 government organizations are working hand in glove with BPAC and WRI to move, design, execute, and measure things which have never been done in the past. And I don't know, you heard Revati talk about it today. We want to do this as a pilot. We are committed. And for any change, right, team, there are 3 things required: intent, competency, and passion. Believe me, sitting on the fence before I joined this initiative, we always blamed corporate versus government versus civic societies versus citizens. But having worked 3 months now on this P2P with the team here today, it's been amazing experience. So I would leave with the fact that there's a lot to be done. This has a direct bearing on ESG 2030 goals, which every country has committed. We made a big show at G20 recently. We are exceeding the committed SDG goals for Bharat as a country. But collectively, we need to do a lot more and accelerate the plan. And sustainable mobility is a very big piece. 30% of CO2 emission will be saved just by making sure we move from private to public transport, not just in Bangalore, but across major tier 1, tier 2 cities in India. We are just scratching the surface right now. Skepticism, cynicism, criticism, welcome. But what has not been done in 60 years after independence, we are trying to change that. And this is a good problem. This problem is because we are growing as a city, as a state, as a country. And with growth comes a need for out-of-the-box solutions, which I believe you heard the speakers before me. And I commit that in few months you will start seeing the results. And lastly, part of change management, part of communication, my other commitment to everybody here today is, if you are on LinkedIn, there is a website called SEC. It is a joint effort between WRI, BPAC, myself, and the entire corporate community. We commit that every update on a weekly basis are already being posted here. Just type SEC on LinkedIn and you will have BPAC WRI handles as well. And that is the best way to stay connected. And I promise you, this criticism, cynicism should convert into at least 30% of folks on this call joining the effort to be part of the solution. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Just one last quick question. Are you seeing any incentives being provided by companies to start adopting public transport? Anything that you want to comment on?
Fantastic point, and I missed touching upon it. Yes, to some degree, but in all honesty, right now, as part of the sustainability initiative, we are reaching out to all member companies to understand what are they doing today. We are going to compile a white paper in next 2 months, which would be the first in the industry, and we are going to release this as an incentive guideline for entire industry, saying these are the measures, means, and processes by which you can incentivize and motivate employees to take on public transport. Because this is a big undertaking, I would like to do this very systematically. And in 2 means we will see an outcome on this as a white paper or as a guidebook. And I think that will be very, very impactful.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jayan. I think now we should take up the questions. Srini, unfortunately, we have a huge number of questions. I don't know, 105 questions as of now. I don't know how we are going to go through all of them, but we'll try to take care of some of them. I think there are some of them are suggestions. There is some on BMLTA. Yes, BMLTA is extremely important. We will have a separate session and we invite you all for that. There is BMLTA, there is other things that are happening. So we will have one which is putting non-motorized transport at the center of all of this, plus BMLTA. I think we will have a separate session. There is some discussion on bus hubs at K.R.Puram, Silk Board, but there is no basic infrastructure to support the commuters. Pedestrians are unable to cross the road. There is no safety to cross, no skywalks. Buses abruptly park at the entry and exit. So if somebody can talk, we can dull.
I don't know if Prahlad sir is there. Prahlad sir is actually working on it.
Okay, so Mr. Prahlad, can you please talk about it a little bit on Krishnarajpuram? That is a very, very unsafe situation right now, and at Silk Board. But let's focus on Krishnarajpuram for the moment.
Ma'am, we have already called for tenders for the pedestrian skywalk at both in K.R.Puram as well as in Silk Board Junction. So we are waiting for the BMRCL to complete its work, and also we have identified the location for putting the skywalk. At present, there is one skywalk which has been operated, which was earlier also. The same will be done, ma'am.
Okay.
BBMP is also working on streamlining the buses now that a lot of buses are coming. So they are taking some measures. I think Shashidhar was asking for it because of all the new buses that are going to come in. There has been a joint inspection by BBMP and BTP and BMTC last week. So they're trying to take some short-term interventions so that pedestrian movement is safe in K.R.Puram, as we're expecting a lot of people to alight the metro, deboard the metro from K.R.Puram. So short-term measures are being taken at that intersection as well.
Okay. There is a question on half-done CDP roads in Gunjur, Kalmelram are interconnected to RR Sarjapur, SH35 Old Airport Road. Can government prioritize completing these to enable last mile connectivity via BMTC or minibuses? Mr. Prahlad, can you take this as well?
As informed earlier, not only that Gunjur Karmalaram road, but also we have taken 22 other roads in the outer ring road as an alternative to outer ring road. And that work is already, we have done the foundation work and we have done the laying, and that will be completed within 31st of December. Once the monsoon is over, the final layer of asphalting will be completed, and assure that by December 31st, the work of Gunjur Karmala Road would be completed. It has been prepared to be a 4-lane road connecting directly from Gunjur to Karmala Road.
Right, right.
Another question from Jitesh. Metro construction is completed on a lot of ORR from Silk Board to K.R.Puram. I think is referring to metro removing the barricades and pillars in between much areas. Can we start restoring dedicated bus lanes? As Shaman sir mentioned earlier, the bus lane has been temporarily put on hold due to metro construction. Sir, Prahlad sir, maybe this is a question for you, or maybe for metro and you. When will the bus lane come back on ORR? I think that's the question being asked.
There is a commitment given to us from the BMRCL that once the metro pillars are completed and the barricades are removed, whatever the bollards which were done for preparation of the bus priority line will be restored by the BMRCL, and we hope that BMRCL will do it at the earliest.
So, do we have Mr. Anuchet here? He was supposed to come because one of the issues Mr. Prahlad had also mentioned was the entire service roads on the ORR are all taken up by parking of vehicles. What are we doing to ensure that parking is completely banned on the side roads?
Ma'am, that is one of the short-term measures we have suggested to the Bangalore Traffic Police. What is happening is 2 lanes have been taken by the BMRCL for construction of metro, and most of the traffic is moving on the service road. One of the biggest impediments on the service road is that the vehicles have been parked by the commuters or customers of the commercial establishments on the service road. So what I suggested to the Bangalore Traffic Police was that the commercial establishments can make their own arrangements for parking the vehicles, not on the road, but a dedicated parking space may be created temporarily till the metro is completed, for at least for the 2 years, so that the traffic movement on the ORR could be improved.
Okay. There is an important question that there was a newspaper report that government will not be supporting carpooling apps and banning some of those. So would Dalt like to take that question, or who can take that question? Shamant?
Yes, ma'am. No, I think that we'll have to work with the transport department, because in general, we all know, if more people travel in a single car, that's always a better solution than
whatever this is being said is very, very counterintuitive.
So, but that needs to be looked at. I don't know what regulations under which they are speaking. So I think we'll have to take it up with the transport department.
Yeah.
Naman sir, while you are online, there has been many questions about BMLT. Is there anything you can share insight on BMLT, please?
As you all know, the act has happened. We're in the process of developing the rules, regulations, and stuff like that. So hopefully, we'll see some action should happen in that regard. I think, I don't have much more information than this to say. Yeah.
Okay. Revati ma'am, there's a question for Manas, a very interesting question. Manas, the question is, are you looking to raise awareness among employees? We should use a virtual reality to show people why they need to switch to public transport system. I would be happy to talk more about it and work around it. You are getting an offer to develop some virtual reality to encourage.
All ideas are good ideas. So absolutely. Please reach out, and we'll love to adopt any new technology related incentives or ideas to generate awareness and get more people to switch from private to public transport.
Please reach out to us. We are all available.
Maybe later.
We would love to have any suggestions like this. If we think we can use virtual reality in some very interesting way to show people how they can use it.
Ma'am, with your permission, I want to say something to the audience. So, Personal2public is a public campaign, right? The idea is that all of us in civil society have to encourage our own peers and other citizens to help do this. Oh, it's wonderful to have Mr. Anuchet sir joining us. Thank you, sir, for joining. Revati ma'am.
Oh, thank you
so much.
Thank you, Mr. Anuchet. I think you have come at the right time. There is a lot of interest in hearing from you as to what are the things that you will be doing to ensure smooth flow of traffic on the ORR and Whitefield. Very soon, everything is going to be, the new lines are going to be opened. The Chalagatta purple line is going to be fully operational. It was partly operational. Now it's going to be a very big thing. And so what is the kind of preparation happening around that area?
Thank you, ma'am. As a Bengalurian, I'm really looking forward to having the line open. And as a traffic person, I'm hopeful that this will lead to lesser traffic congestion. We are currently working with the BMTC by way of enabling them to travel faster given the present conditions, in terms of providing some probably alternate routes or where they feel they can cut down the travel time. We are closely working with the BMTC. The other is the enabling BMTC to have a particular base in and around the metro stations dedicated for them, so that at all times public have access to the BMTC buses. So primarily we are looking into that. There were some concerns raised regarding certain no parking or rather illegal parking in narrow roads. So we'll be enforcing strictly those zones where we feel that traffic is not moving fast or as required due to illegal parking.
So I think parking is a very big issue, especially considering that ORR, the carriageway is very, very narrow. And we don't have a situation where, the road width is already significantly reduced, further reduced by a lot of cars being parked and two-wheelers being parked on the service road. So can we take a very serious look at this and completely ban these kinds of parking so that there is enough space? I'm told there is enough space behind, and people can, if these retail establishments want activity, they can go and take those lands, work out some arrangements so that people have parking space for whatever. But really, we have to discourage this and make it more and more difficult, because we are providing public transport. So let people use public transport.
Absolutely. I am in total agreement with you. I think now with the enhanced public transport, I don't feel the necessity to allow such things even during non-peak hours. Of course, in peak hours, it's not allowed at all. But in non-peak hours also, the commercial establishment using these light goods vehicles, we can tell them to do it after 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., probably something like that. And we strictly enforce it from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay, there is one more issue which was raised earlier with BBMP as well. This is regarding encroachments on the footpaths, because there are a number of small petty shops being brought up there. What are the actions you will take so that that place is also free of all kinds of encroachment? People can walk freely on the footpaths to their place of work.
The BTP's role comes to the extent of ensuring that vehicles are not parked on the footpath. I think that's a strict no-no, and all these vehicles, especially two-wheelers which are parked on footpath, we are booking. In fact, we are going very tough on them, and we are booking them under 283 IPC, causing obstruction to the smooth flow of traffic. So we are including pedestrians. So we are booking them under those strict sections. With regard to other petty shops and other things, we are working with BBMP. We require BBMP help to remove such encroachments because there are some vending zones, I am told, so that they'll have to identify. But we are always there to support them to help in removal of such encroachments.
Okay. Do we have Mr. R.K. Mishra here? I saw him some time back, but if he's there. No. Okay. So I think we've had some engaging discussion, lots and lots of questions. We have over 122 questions. I don't think we have time to go through all of that. Some of them are suggestions. We will make note of all of them. Sharad, Sachin, please make sure that you note all the questions and suggestions. Whoever has raised a question which couldn't get answered, please put your email in a chat box and we'll definitely try to respond to you. It's very, very important. And please write into all of us, the BPAC website, the WRI website, the Sustainability Forum, everybody is available. But we are here to support. And next 3-4 months is going to be extremely crucial. That we are going to see hopefully with all of this, we will see a major shift in the way Bangalore travels. And with that, Srini, I would like you to summarize the discussions and we'll call this meeting to a close.
Yes, almost 90 minutes on a Friday evening, and people are still smiling and still asking questions. So I am very happy and excited. It's wonderful to see all the senior officials of the city.
Questions right now.
I can guarantee you that if we keep this line open, we can go till midnight, ma'am. I've done this few times, so this traffic and mobility issues are like that. And rarely you ever get assemble a forum of all the people that actually run this city, right? Today we had the people that run this city, and running this city is not a joke. We are a small town just 20 years ago. Now we are a mega city, one of the world's most fastest growing city, providing opportunities to people from all over the world that make Bengaluru their home for their work and for their children and all of that. And it is very often that we feel the brunt of the civic issues, the footpath issues, the traffic problem, the various things like that. It's not very easy to imagine ourselves in the shoes of the city managers, the folks that run the city, from either traffic police or BBMP or BMTC. These are all extremely difficult jobs to do. They have very high pressure jobs that they need to deliver, and they try to do the best they can with the changing, growing population that we have. And that's something that an understanding that I didn't have a few years ago, which I now have, thanks to ability to work with and meet with these gentlemen over a period of time and trying to understand. I'm trying to convey this so that we all know that all the people in the government departments are as passionate and as interested in making our city better as all of us in the civil society. It takes a lot of effort for everyone to come together and to prioritize and collaborate. And Personal2public has been one such initiative where we try to bring together the corporate companies and the civil society organizations, the RWAs, the research organization, the cycling fraternity, the walking, everyone that is interested in mobility aspects and a more inclusive, safe mobility in the city are trying to be part of it. We didn't hear from the auto drivers today, but I must tell the audience here that auto drivers too are working very hard to make the last mile and first mile happen. They're working very closely with BMRCL. Some of the auto union representatives have joined us today. What they're working on is a program called Metro Mitra. You would have read about it in the papers. But Metro Mitra is going to bring auto to your metro station, and listen to this carefully, auto running on meter, right? That's what they're trying to do. And that is a mini game changer in itself, because when you have metro and auto working together, that will make our life much easier. So it's not just the bus, it's not just the metro, it's not just the auto, but it's all of them together. How do we create a seamless experience for commuters so that they feel compelled or encouraged to use public transport? And we are not asking for much. We are asking you to try public transport 2 days a week, at least 2 days a week, if not all 5 or 6 days a week. To begin with, use it 2 days a week. All the government agencies are working very hard to make first and last mile access more convenient. There's going to be better integration. You heard from Kalpana ma'am, every metro station is going to display the bus information. You heard from BMTC how much frequency of buses you are going to see on ORR and Whitefield. They are going to make all attempts to make sure that when you come out of the metro, the bus is readily available for you and you get a seat in it. That's what they're trying to do. You heard from DULT on how communities can work with them on how to get feeder buses. HSR has done it. JP Nagar is working on it. Malleshwaram is on it. Rajarajeshwari Nagara has been able to do it. So any of you civil society groups that are listening to this call, and if you have ideas on demand for feeder buses in your local area, you need to make a proposal to DULT. On the website, you can find their email, and then you can take that conversation forward. We heard from Mr. Anuchet, traffic police has been very in this campaign. Every day they've been going up and down the ORR, trying to look at the condition of the bus stops and the pedestrian movement. And BBMP and traffic police are trying to make sure that when the metro starts running and when the feeder buses starts moving, there is a faster movement of buses. This is very good news for all of us bus lovers, because buses also suck in the same traffic that rest of the vehicles are, which is unfair because the bus is carrying a lot more people. So bus should have a preferential access to it. You heard a lot of that from BBMP and DULT. hopefully we'll see some bus lanes in the high density corridors in the coming months. And I am very pleased to see the commitment and interest and passion shown by Mr. Manas Das and Mr. Jain. Thank you so very much for your continuous work on bringing the companies into this. And Revati, we must thank Professor Rajiv Gowda for the leadership, extraordinary leadership that he has shown us in the last couple of months in bringing together the civil society groups as well as the government agencies and rolling up the sleeves and walking the path, right? He has been going on metro and bus rides to Whitefield, and tomorrow is going to ORR and trying to work with the Deputy Chief Minister, working with Transport Minister and all the different agencies, MDs of BMRCL and BFTC, and brought us to the stage where, for at least to my memory, a very concerted effort is being made to provide a very reliable and comfortable public transport, better than what we have today, to the citizens of Bengaluru in the coming days. And we are now very eagerly waiting when that line will open and BMTC is ready to roll out with the feeder buses. So the last thing I would like to say, Revati, is that repeatedly there have been appeals made of how to be part of this campaign. So we have an email. You can reach us to BPAC or to WRI India on social media. And many of your questions we will answer on social media. Wonderful questions. And if you haven't got an answer, you can also post it on social media for us. We're working on many of these things. We don't have all the answers. Let me be very frank. A long way to go, but we're making a big attempt here. And we hope that you will be along with us in this journey. And only when we work together, we can actually begin a new chapter of public transport in Bengaluru. And I, for one, is very confident that this is a new chapter for public transport in Bengaluru. Thank you.
Yeah, Sharad, Sachin, if you can just put the email, BPAC email, on the chat box so people can write in if they want. And if we can have all the panelists for a moment on the camera, we'd like to take a quick picture, and that'll be nice. Thank you very much. Manas, if you're there still, Kalpana, yes, if we are all, yes, everybody is there. So if we can have everybody, we can take a quick picture. Somebody has taken the picture. Srini, you have taken a screenshot?
I have taken it, ma'am. Done.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you very much. And we are 5 minutes late, but I think it has been a very, very engaging discussion. I hope it has given you confidence that all the stakeholders who are there are really working on this. If the pilot in ORR and Whitefield is a success, we can roll it out in Inner Ring Road. Professor Rajiv Gowda has said Inner Ring Road he will do. Then we will move on to other places systematically where there is heavy traffic, and we will try to decongest. So let's make this happen together. Please join us in this movement. Please write in, all those who want to be part of it, please write in to us. Thank you very much, and have a lovely weekend, and happy Gandhi Jayanti.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaskar.